What's up, everybody? So I've been getting this question a lot over the past. I can actually get this mic closer. I've been getting this question a lot over the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks about Kuma, which is people trying to use traffic sources. They're sending their click through, the ID's coming through. Kuma's like, logging the user, send them to the offer or whatever. And then they're getting a post back, and then they're trying to do the additional post back to their traffic source, and it's failing. And I have seen at least 10 examples so far of people doing this exact thing I'm getting ready to show, and why and how to fix it. It's actually not even an issue with Kuma or anything. It's an issue with how people are setting up their variables. So I'm going to try to explain this as easily as I can, and how this is basically like how click IDs work with trackers, period. Whether you're using Kuma or volume or red tracker or whatever it is that you use, it's going to work the same way across anything in the set. So I made these little slides. Yes, I had AI help me with these little slides in order to exemplify the process of how a click is created by a user. It's captured, it's redirected, and then all the postbacks happen when that user is a converted user. So let's just take propeller ads as a traffic source, because I know a lot of people really are using that kind of traffic, especially with Kuma at this moment. So when your ad is shown on Propeller, okay, you make your ad, you put it out there, you put your tracking link for Kuma in it for the campaign and all that stuff, and it's in Propeller, right? And we're going to go into Kuma, don't worry. I'm actually going to go over there and click around and show you how to set it up. But people often will set it up, and then they capture the variables in Kuma. Let's say it's a direct link campaign, meaning the person clicks your ad, they come through your tracker, and then they get sent off to the network. So in Kuma, it's going to capture all that data from Propeller. That's why we use a tracker, right? Like your campaign ID and all that stuff, and the click ID. So when the user in Propeller ads clicks your ad, Propeller generates its own click ID, okay? And this is a click ID that's generated by Propeller ads specifically, okay? And is sent from Propeller to Kuma. So Kuma then captures that click inside of it before it redirects the user to the affiliate network. But Kuma then generates its own click ID for that same user, and it stores them in the same user record, right? Like imagine the user has a file, right? Like a file for that user has everything about them, like their click ID, their ad, their all stuff. It's going to contain their Propeller ads ID when they clicked in, and then it's going to contain also their Kuma ID when they click out. Okay, these are two different IDs completely with different purposes. Okay. So down in the next slide, I want to show you what happens when the user converts. So traffic source sends traffic. And it's not sending traffic straight to the offer network. It's sending it to Kuma. And then Kuma generates its own click ID. It's basically saying, look, traffic comes through with this ID. Kuma actually captures it, redirects to the network. And then when the network converts, it sends the conversion ID with Kuma's ID back. Okay, the offer network only knows about the Kuma click ID. It has no knowledge of the external ID, meaning the one that came from here. Because when the user clicks to here, it goes to Kuma, Kuma captures it, and then redirects to the offer network with Kuma's ID. So when the user converts, the postback that they're seeing actually is Kuma's postback, which comes to us, and then Kuma sends this ID back to Propeller ads. I'll show you in the links again to break it down again, okay, just to make sure you understand. So when the traffic source versus Kuma, here's what it says. Kuma finds the original click, then posts back the traffic's external ID. So Kuma is my tracker that's gotten the click sent back to it by the affiliate network. Okay, and it's going to be this ID that Kuma generated. In Kuma, it will find that user's profile or click record and say, oh, this is the external ID they came with. And I see that the user wants me to post back that ID to the traffic source. So then it fires off the post back with this click ID to Propeller, and Propeller then shows that user as converted on their end. Okay. The issue I'm seeing people run into is that they're trying to post back Kuma's click ID, this one, to Propeller ads, but Propeller ads doesn't know anything about this ID. It only knows about this ID. So like I said, the final slide here before we go over to an actual Kuma and look at it is they are not the same. They are for different purposes. The traffic source click ID is used by the traffic source to track and click and accept postbacks to that user. Kuma's click ID is in order for the tracker to convert that user. So user clicks an ad, Propeller ads assigns them an external ID. Kuma captures that ID, it saves it, and it assigns it with the other Kuma ID. And then when the network converts, it sends back this. Kuma matches it to this and then sends it back here. That's it. Okay, but most people are trying to use the Kuma ID for everything. So let's open up a Kuma installation. This is a website that I just use randomly for Kuma to give demonstrations and everything. So I don't actually do anything with it. But I wanted to show you when you install Kuma from scratch in traffic sources, you're going to have a propeller ads already installed. And if we do the little pencil and look, the slot 3 is your external token ID. Okay, this here is an external token ID that's coming from Propeller ads, and it's actually tracked as sub ID. That's how Propeller does it. I've already preset this up in Kuma. So when you set up a campaign using this traffic source selected as your main, this variable will automatically be captured in the third internal token slot in Kuma. Okay, why does this matter? Because when you go to set up a postback, this is the postback that you set up at your affiliate network. So this is why this one is loaded with click ID, because click ID is the Kuma click ID for that user, not the traffic sources. The traffic sources click ID that they send when the user's clicked is right here in this external ID. That's the Propeller ads name. Each traffic source is slightly different and it might be mapped different, but that's how it's mapped from Propeller ads into Kuma. We're capturing the Propeller ads click ID in the token 3. So let me show you why that matters. In settings, in integrations, in a custom postback, this is a custom postback to Propeller. I want to open and show you this. Look, this is we're going to select the built-in campaigns. These are the built-in campaigns tokens for the traffic source we're using. Look, number 3 is external token ID. So this is let's imagine, let me open up this is a Propeller ads postback, okay? And this is what it expects. See these two variables here, visitor ID and payout? Let me show you how this works. So if we put this into our postback URL, okay, this is the variable it's expecting for a click right here. And I'll show you why we're doing what we're doing. And for payout, we're going to use the built-in value of payout. All right, so this would work. Here's why. And you'd actually have to select this with a campaign. When you go to create a campaign, you'd select it as an additional postback. In fact, let me just show you before I explain. So we would update this postback, and then inside of a campaign, like this example test campaign, if we have Propeller ads selected, there would be additional custom postbacks, and you'd select Propeller ads and save. That custom postback is the one that we just set up in integrations in here under custom postbacks. So what this is saying now is when you fire back a postback to Propeller ads, what I need you to do is this is a real postback for Propeller. What I need you to do is I need you to grab this variable right here from Propeller ads, which by the way, when I selected the campaign, these are all the traffic source tokens associated with that campaign, these are the Propeller tokens, okay? I know this can be hard to follow, but let me just say one more time, these tokens, where do you find these tokens? In traffic sources, under the setup. This is where it's pulling those tokens from, okay, that are available. Number 3 is the external ID. So back in the settings and in integrations and inside of your custom postback, that's where it's pulling. When I select the campaign, it's getting the Propeller ads tokens, and number 1, 2, 3 is our sub ID for Propeller. So I know this can be hard to follow for a lot of people. This seems to trip up a lot of people, but I want to show it inside of a notepad. So right here is the postback we get inside of postback URLs for Kuma. This is how Kuma is notified of a postback. And the reason why we use, let's get rid of all this additional stuff. The reason why we use click ID is because this is Kuma's built-in token for its click ID that it generates. Remember, this number here that Kuma generates. When a postback comes from the network, it's going to assign this click. It's going to send that back in this slot on our postback. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Is it's going to send that back to us. Now, at the network, there's other parts to it that can be a little confusing, but just know we're only focused on the click IDs portion right now. Kuma creates its own click ID when a user comes through. Propeller creates its own click ID. When the user comes from Propeller, Kuma captures that click ID and assigns it into the third token slot because that's how I have it set up. And then when you set the custom postback to Propeller, you need to send them back their own click ID, okay? Their own, not Kuma's click ID. Look, Kuma's click ID is here, the one that's generated by us. The one that Propeller generated is right here. That's where Kuma captured that user when they came through. So in the post back to Propeller from Kuma, you need to make sure that you're posting back the click ID, okay? The ID that Propeller generated, not the ID that Kuma generated. When you're putting the post back, this post back with your network, you need to make sure that you're posting back the ID that Kuma generated, not the ID that Propeller generated. Because the network cannot see the traffic source. They can only see your tracker, and your tracker is sending its click ID. And then the tracker will post back the traffic source's click ID. I know this can get really confusing, guys. I'm trying my best to explain it in a way that doesn't cross you up or tie you up anymore. But just know that if you are to do this inside of integrations and you try to post back, let me just drop this one more time, and you try to post back like this, it's not going to work because it's going to send back Kuma's click ID, and Propeller's going to say, I don't know what that click ID is. That has nothing to do with me. But if you send it back the Propeller click ID, which is this one, then it's going to know what to do. Okay? Then it will know what to do if you put it in your campaign. So I know this can be a little confusing, okay? It was very confusing for me at first, but just think about it like this. The click ID created by your traffic source is not the same ID created by your tracker. And the one that you use in the tracker is the one that your network and you communicate with to find what's converted. And the one that the traffic source generates is what you and your tracker and traffic source talk to with each other for. So when the user clicks, that generates an ID on Propeller. Kuma captures that ID, assigns it in that user's click record with Kuma's own ID, sends that to the offer network. The offer network posts back Kuma's click ID to Kuma. Kuma finds that user record, finds that user's traffic source ID, posts that back to Propeller. Okay, and it works the same for most other traffic sources too. Pretty much the same for all of them. Same with Google and all those too. So with like GLCID and FBCLID for Facebook. TikTok has its own. They all have their own. So anyway, I hope that helped you guys. I know that once again, it can be very confusing for new people especially. But I do hope that this was very, very helpful. Click IDs, like I said, they tie a lot of people up. I've gotten this question so many times, brothers. And so I just want to try to make a video to clear it up. If you have any questions, comments below. Or through simpлекuma.com, whatever, makes sense. And I will get back to you. Anyway, hope that helped, guys. See you in the next one.